It is great to be here today with you. It is a beautiful day, and I'm surrounded by beautiful people. So, thank you so much for coming and joining us today. Now, before we begin, I want to acknowledge the land that we are on. So, we acknowledge that the land on which we stand is the ancestral territory of the Lenape people. We pay respect to indigenous people throughout the Lenape diaspora, past, present, and future. And we honor those who have been historically and systematically disenfranchised. We also acknowledge that New Jersey and the United States as a nation was founded upon the exclusions and erasures of indigenous peoples. Thank you. Okay, now we will welcome Pastor Kevin Pleasant for the prayer and invocation. Pastor Kevin Pleasant is the pastor of the Vibrant Church alongside his wife, Crystal Pleasant, right here in East Brunswick.
Father, I praise you, I acknowledge you, and I ask you to pour out of your spirit upon our community and our nation. I pray to you today in faith, knowing that the prayers of the righteous avail much. Therefore, like Father Abraham, I petition you to save our city for the sake of the righteous that live here. Thank you for you are the same yesterday, today, and forever. I cry out to you, Lord, heal our nation. Our community comes together this day to remember the lost souls whose blood continues to cry out for justice, and to celebrate Juneteenth, June 19, 1865, when more than 250,000 enslaved black people in the state of Texas finally learned of their freedom years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Thank you for those who, throughout our American cities and towns, just like East Brunswick, who have the courage to confront and expose the dark sides of our history so that all Americans can be free and equally enjoy its privileges. Father, let the truth of your word be a light to reveal the remnants of racism in our hearts, wherever it may still be hiding, so that we can proudly and earnestly proclaim that we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Your love never fails. It always prevails. Therefore, evil cannot divide or separate a community whose hearts are bent towards justice. Fill us with the joy, your peace, your love, your forgiveness, and your grace, that we may go forth with the same to continue your ministry of justice, liberation, and love to and for all in this country and in the world. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Thank you, Pastor, for that powerful prayer and invocation. Now we will be singing the Lift Every Voice and Sing.
With
I want to talk a little bit about great leadership, right? Great leadership isn't always easy to find, but we're blessed enough to, here at the Lost Souls Public Memorial Project, to have a great leader who is passionate, dedicated, hardworking, and cares about her community. So I want to invite the president of the board, Ms. Toni Hendricks, to give us a few remarks.
You see, that's why I love Andrew. I love our young people. Let's give them a hand. And our young people that were performing that a cappella rendition, right? We need to lift up our young people and make sure that they understand that this is their world and they should live within it and they should take over for us because we want them to do that. All right, so I'm going to be very, very brief, but it would be remiss of me to not immediately acknowledge some individuals who are in the room. I'm going to do a short acknowledgement, because later in the program, they will be coming to you. They will do additional acknowledgements, and they will have an active part in the program. But I want to introduce them at this point, and I'm going to ask them to stand and wave. So we have with us the East Brunswick Township Council President, Kevin McAvoy. The East Brunswick Township Vice President, Dana Zimbecki. And what is a honor and a surprise is that my favorite mayor, Mayor Cohen, is here in person. Please, Mayor. We're co-hosts for this. This is the East Brunswick first annual Juneteenth event. Let's give that a hand. Then a very special shout out to our planning partners. We had Paula Walcott. Paula, are you here? Okay, Paula, there she is. And where is my John Roche? Absolutely. So, and there are others like Ashley in the back of the room bringing her youth council here, so thank you very much. Thank you so much, Pastor Pleasant, for your beautiful words. We truly appreciate them. Thank you for being here. We have really wonderful performers for you. Andrew will be introducing them, but I wanted to take a moment to make sure that I honored and respected that we have had 3 organizations that have been with us from the beginning, and representatives from those organizations are in the room. The National Association Council of, nope, I'm not going to do them now. I'm sorry. The New Brunswick Area Branch, NAACP, has been a sponsoring partner of the Lost Souls from the beginning. The branch president and secretary and members of the EC and officers, they're in the room. The Unitarian Society of East Brunswick, I know you're here. Come on, Edie, where's your folks? There you go. Strong, strong supporters. And the Afro-American Historical and Genealogy Society. There we go, all right? So these 3 sponsoring organizations have been with us from the beginning. I know there are other dignitaries here, but I'm going to let that happen in the second part of the program. I promise I'm not ignoring them. We have commissioners here, et cetera, and we will be recognizing them in the program. But now I want you to sit back and enjoy what we are hoping to bring to you today is an update regarding what we've been doing for the past 2 years. There has been a lot going on related to the Lost Souls Project. Our public historian, Crystal Langford, is here. She has prepared as short of a program as she possibly can with so much work that's been done. And Peter Kahn is here, and he's going to bring an update regarding the planning for the memorial. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. All of those who are coming for the very first time, welcome. We hope to see you at future events. Those of you who have been with us from the beginning, like John from Collabs in the back of the room, I got to acknowledge John Keller. Thank you very much. And others, it's so good to see you again, and we hope to continue seeing you at future programs. So thank you. We want to take a moment to acknowledge Mavonia Caldwell. Mavonia was the heart and soul of our organization. Her dear husband, Chan, please stand up. We love Mavonia. We miss Mavonia. We honor Mavonia, and we'll be continuing to do that with programs throughout this year and next year and in future years. But we wanted to ask you if you could rise for just one more moment and have a moment of reflection for our dear Mavonia Caldwell, who we lost in November of last year.
We have the opportunity to bring redress, to remember, to bring justice, to make sure that our families who would have been here are never forgotten.
I now want to welcome the Victor Marshall drummers and dancers who will be performing for us.
So as what you was watching this afternoon, we're going to take you all to Africa, a part of the celebration of Juneteenth today. We here in the diaspora, we try to keep the traditions of our culture by bringing the music and the dance. So the first dance that you saw real quick was a dance coming out of Guinea, West Africa, among the Malinke people called Dundumba. It's a dance of warrior. It usually is done by young boys going into adolescence, trying to prove their manhood. But today, in modern days, we know that our women are warriors too. So, sit back and enjoy. Thank you. Weren't they wonderful? Yes, thank you. Energy. So, that last dance you saw was a courtship dance coming out of Mali, West Africa, called Sunu. And Sunu is a dance that's used for courtship, and usually what happens is, well, they don't have their handkerchiefs today. But anyway, like when the ladies go into a circle, they wear their handkerchiefs, and if they see, and well, both the guys and the girls, they wear their handkerchief, and if they see a potential mate, you know, like all the movements that you saw, that's how they attract the person that they may want to be with. So that was Sunu.
Wow. That was amazing. We really appreciate you all coming out. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Now that we're energized, we are going to hear from the board vice president of the Lost Souls Public Memorial Project. She's also a public historian. Join me in welcoming Ms. Crystal Lanford.
Welcome, 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 everyone. But before I begin, I want to give honor to my ancestors. I want to also give honor to God, first of all. When I think about, as a historian, doing this work, I always think about the plight of my ancestors. They survived. I'm here because they survived, right? I think about the Mayafa, which is the transatlantic slave trade, right? Bringing them from Africa and dropping them off to Haiti, dropping them off to Brazil, dropping them off everywhere, right? And I think about the mush that they had to eat. I think about how they had to lay. I think about how even some of them had to fight, right? Just to survive. And some, they'd rather not go through this. And they were like, I'd rather just go to the next plane, right? So as Africans, we don't look at death as the end. We look at it as another level. So with that, again, I give honor to my ancestors. Amen. And with that, I say Ashe. Ashe. For those of you who don't know what Ashe means, it's a Yoruba term from the people of West Africa. We spell it A-S-E, sometimes it's A-S-H-E, or A-C-H-E. Again, all of it is pronounced Ashe. It means so be it, or may it be so, or so shall it be, similar to amen or amen. So Ashe, it actually acknowledges the life force behind all living things and affirm a statement and a prayer. All right, so when we do the libations, I will encourage you to say Ashe with me after we say the names, okay? And also when I go over the poem that I'll be reciting. It's not my poem, I found it and I thought it was fitting. But without further ado, I'm actually going to go into the history. As Tony said, this research is ongoing. I've been at this for 5 years, trying to find the names, trying to find the history, trying to find their stories, right? And the thing is, with enslaved people, a lot of us didn't leave written records, right? However, the records are left in the histories of those who had wealth. Van Wickle is one who had wealth, and I'll tell you who he is in a bit. So Charles Morgan, who was his brother, also had wealth. So their daughters left diaries and put these stories in, right, in their diaries, in their records. And as a result of that, I read between the lines to extract the agency of the lost souls, to extract their stories, to extract their resistance and their resilience. Again, I want to thank you for coming and sharing in this reflection and celebratory occasion with us. Today, I'm actually going to open this presentation with a quote by Alice Walker to give light to what we are all called to do. She wrote, "We search because we must remember. We seek because we need to find. We are duty-bound to carry our ancestors." She understood that no matter how difficult the task was emotionally, for many of us, in finding and remembering, it is then we begin to heal. So again, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the story, and for those of you who are, today I'm going to lay out an abridged history of the domestic slave trade and share some vignettes of a couple of individual stories, for some of you guys haven't heard these stories yet, of those whom we call the lost souls. After hearing this history, you'll have a better understanding of why we at the Lost Souls Public Memorial Project have committed ourselves to commemorating the lost souls through public events, education, and soon a permanent installation, which my colleague Peter Kahn, Peter, can you raise your hand? Peter Kahn will share, right? So these multifaceted and multimodal acts of remembrance serve as a constant reminder of our ancestors' presence, their resistance, and resilience against the inhumanity of slavery and the injustice of their human rights. So the images here are not of the lost souls. I just want to be clear. So I put images here, and I'm intentional about placing images so that we can put a face to a name, right? So that we can put faces to stories, right? They're not just numbers. They're humans. They're humans with emotions. They're humans who are attached to families. They're humans who live the same way we lived. So in 1808, Congress actually outlawed or banned the transatlantic slave trade, right? As a result of this, we have a new demand for workers for the South, particularly, don't get me wrong, it happened here in the North as well. However, what they relied on was the natural reproduction of women's, their reproductive capacities, and the domestic slave trade. Between 1810, actually, and 1860, we have an estimate of about 1 million people who were transported from the upper South to the lower South, right? So when we look at the domestic slave trade, it was actually the most significant cause of family disruption. However, what's left out in that story, in those numbers, is our role in the domestic slave trade. When we look at the New Jersey census, in 1810, New Jersey actually had 10,820 enslaved people. By 1820, the law schools leave in 1818, so keep that date in mind. By 1820, we have 7,556 enslaved blacks in the state of New Jersey. Clearly, the Quakers were agitating for the abolition of slavery in the state, right? And it's like, okay, well, we can't have this in our backyard. However, we see the decrease happen also because of the transportation south. The trafficking, and I'm gonna use that term intentionally, the trafficking south. One of the most notorious rings that disrupted communities in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, because we have some lost souls who came from there as well, New York, and transforming the lives of the lost souls happened here in East Brunswick, which is at one point was considered South River. So we have this judge here at the bottom, Judge Jacob Van Wickle, and his brother-in-law at the top. Judge Jacob Van Wickle was a Middlesex County judge, and Charles Morgan actually is his brother-in-law, and he was a state legislator in Louisiana. So Charles Morgan actually came up here to New Jersey with the intentions of purchasing enslaved people for his plantation in Point Coupé, Louisiana. He came with $45,000 in hand. So in January 1818, actually, let me backtrack in regards to what this slave trade was, right? So what they did was they facilitated and orchestrated one of the largest in the state, the most intricate slave ring, the most egregious and the most disruptive slave trafficking scheme from New Jersey to Louisiana. So in January 1818, Charles Morgan and Van Wickle actually began rounding up the enslaved people, starting in February. However, it's important to really pay attention to Jacob Van Wickle simply because, one, he's a resident of the state. Two, because he's a judge, he is well informed when it comes to the laws. So what they did was they bypassed two of these laws in order to carry on their scheme. The two laws, one guaranteed enslaved people freedom, right? Those who are born on or after the 4th of July, right? So if they're a female child, they'll be freed at 21. If they are a male child, they'll be freed at 25. However, before that law actually came into place, which is the Gradual Emancipation Act, we actually have this law, this piece of legislation, which says that we are respecting, well, the state is respecting the rights of the enslaved. And in order to, how you would respect the right of the enslaved is that if an owner, a slaveholder, decides to transport them out of the state, they actually need, the enslaved person actually needs to give consent. So Van Wickle and Charles Morgan and quite a few other judges actually exploited this law, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Right, so again, consent, the enslaved person had to say yes, they agreed to go south. So again, Judge Jacob Van Wickle, Nicholas Van Wickle, which is Judge Jacob Van Wickle's son, and Charles Morgan began accruing souls as early as February. Between February and November of that year, the trio, along with his network of public officials, family, friends, acquaintances, illegally trafficked at least 161 Black freed and enslaved people out of the state. The first person that you see on this list, what role did he occupy? Governor of the state of New Jersey is a part of the slave ring. We have a couple of judges. Robert Arnold actually is very, very slick. He covered his tracks. There is no record of him. However, during some court cases, they actually mention him. William P. Deere actually sits, he sat on the board of trustees at Rutgers University. And quite other folks. So you have high-level officials, and then you have, the regular, low-level individuals who are participating in the slave ring, and women also participated in this act as well. So again, we have 160 at least. And this is a recent discovery because long time ago, a couple of years ago, we would say 137. Just a couple of weeks ago, going to the archives, I was able to find the actual records with all of the lost souls, and we were able to update the numbers to 161, at least 161. And again, we're still looking. And these are the vessels in which the lost souls were transported out of the state and the family disruptions. Now, let's get into, again, I want to get away from the numbers and get into the humans. Again, these are just vignettes, like little snippets of their stories. Clearly, the stories are expanded, and when I give presentations, I go into detail of these individual people for the stories that we're able to find. However, within these 6 groupings, we learn of a 14-year-old girl, her name was Jude, who lived with her father. His name was Tone, and they lived in Piscataway. Both father and daughter had hoped to be reunited in 7 years. And what I mean by that is that Jude actually was hired out. And the person who hired out, his name is James Brown. James Brown was like, okay, well, I'll return her when she turns 21. However, he changed his mind and decided that he wanted her forever. So that 7 years absence actually turned into forever. So I can just imagine, right, Tone's heartbreak at the fact that he won't ever see his daughter again. We also learned of Hagar. Hagar is a mother of 2 daughters, one that's 13 years old and another one that's 4, and her toddler son, who's 2. His name is Augustus. As Hagar was grieving, actually, let me backtrack. In terms of Hagar actually leaves New Jersey, not with 3 children, but with 2. Right, so just imagine that separation. However, as Hagar is grieving that loss, right, not that Rhoda died, it's just that Van Wickle, Judge Jacob Van Wickle, decided to separate her and sell her separately. So she's not even on any of the vessels. So we don't know what happened to Rhoda, but we will find out. However, as Hagar is grieving the loss of her son, she is witnessing Nancy. And Nancy is laboring outside. Nancy is like 9 months pregnant. You're OBGYN, right, Mayor? Yes, she is. And you don't know how labor is, but you've seen a lot of us go through it. It's painful, right? And sometimes we need that support system, right? So Nancy is laboring outside of her familiar place, which is home, and I put that in quotes, right? Where a midwife of her own kind would tend to her and her newborn baby, Joseph. However, that's not the case. After supposedly that Nancy signs the certificates of removal, the certificate of removal, she gives birth literally the next day. So baby Joseph is 2 days old when they sign this document. Well, when they sign a document for him, right? And he's 10 days old when they place him on a vessel to go south. So imagine a mother who's just given birth on a vessel going. You're still open, right? Heading south. Then we have a couple of departure dates later, we have 2 freed Black men who would find themselves approached by this individual by the name of Lewis Compton, who was an infamous slave trader, who invited these 2 men to go oyster frolicking. And he actually promised them employment only to deceive them, right? And he got ready to send them south. They were freed and then captured again and then eventually placed on the Shohari and sent south. Again, we also can't forget about friendships, right? So we always talk about like, mother, child, father, child, but not necessarily friendships when we're talking about slavery, right? So there was a friend who he actually said, I don't want to go south. However, he wanted to tell his friend goodbye. I guess the friend agreed, according to the record. He wanted to tell his friend goodbye. However, as he was approaching to bid his friend farewell, they pushed him into the vessel and sent him south. Right, so they're exploiting, right? So Van Wickle and Charles Morgan and all of them are exploiting all types of relations that we have, mother and child, father, son, friendships, right, for a quick buck. I want you to keep in mind these particular stories when it comes to the lost souls. Yes, we're talking about the slavery and how egregious it was. However, I just want us to remember like what the people were going through and how that actually transforms their psyche, transformed their being. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to that important history, and thank you, Crystal, for sharing with us. It's important when we're doing the work. Sometimes it's hard to forget. It's hard to remember, the deep history that goes behind it. So it's important to remember that as we continue throughout the program today, why we're here and why we're doing this. So I'm going to pass it along a little bit to Peter Kahn, who will provide us a memorial update, an update on what we've been working on. Peter is also a member of the Board of Trustees for the Lost Souls Public Memorial Project.
When we first got started with the project in 2017, which seems a long time ago now, the idea was that there would be some kind of a stone or brick structure with names and dates and a story, a physical memorial, and that was it. That was the idea at the time. It has evolved and grown and changed, largely thanks to this lady standing next to me. And now, the focus is no longer on the enormity of the crimes committed by the Van Wickle slave ring, but on the humanity, the nature, the lives, the fortunes and misfortunes of the people who were sent south. The evolution of the memorial from basically bricks and mortar to a combination of bricks and mortar that will have names, dates, other such information, the story of the slave ring, but will have a garden for reflection, so that the kinds of plants that people used to survive on when they had the chance to make gardens, and if they didn't have those, they didn't survive. The kinds of plants will be planted there. It'll be a place of contemplation. It'll be a place of learning, where students can come and grow things similar to what was grown back in the day. The importance of remembrance grows and grows. And what we have, although Crystal has done an immense amount of work, she has only scratched the surface of what's going to have to continue into the future. And its continuance in the future is going to help heal the people who are here and the people who will come after us. We've gone over time, and so I'm going to end very soon. I'd like to add a personal note. I am 84 years old. I'm no longer young. A few years ago, I had the sudden realization, for the first time in my life, I have close personal friends who are black. All of us who are white have dealt with black people all our lives, unless we live in Iowa or somewhere like that, in various roles, as workers, as colleagues, but rarely have we had close personal friends, people for whom we would do practically anything. One of mine is over there. Another one is here. And there are others in the room. One is here. For this, I am grateful.
So we have found, after many months, a landscape architect who will be installing our garden. So can we give a round of applause for that? Her name is Amber Betances. She is a Rutgers University alum. And yes, woohoo, are you? Yes, and the beauty of it is that everyone that we have connected with when it comes to building or installing the garden has a connection to Middlesex County, has a connection to New Jersey. And we wanted to make sure that that remains.
Yes, yes. So we sincerely appreciate your patience. For those of you who started contributing to the memorial, please understand the money is totally protected. We have a fierce treasurer in the room, Steve Allard, and let me tell you something. He has hardwired fences around your contributions, and they will be the seed money that is so important for us to get started in the development of our memorial garden. And just another moment about Amber, she has done work in New Brunswick. Mayor, she has actually participated in the installation of a playground park in New Brunswick, as well as she is employed in New York City right now doing landscape architectural design. We're very proud of this young lady. And the only reason we're not officially announcing it today is because we're doing our due diligence in making sure that when we enter into a contract, that we enter into it the way we need to do so. And the mayor and the town council will be right there with us, making sure that we do everything we need to do in terms of the legalities of what we're doing. But I want to express my sincere appreciation to those of you who have already participated, to the mayor, to the council, to the entire Township of East Brunswick for working with us and being with us, and we have every intention to make you proud.
Mavonia Caldwell was the beginning of this. She brought it to the Unitarian Society, of which I was a member, and the minister preached a sermon, and that led to a proposal to change the name of Van Wickle Road. I realized that in 1818, when all of this was discovered, there was outrage. A few low-level people were indicted, but the judge was never touched, nor were any of the upper-level elite touched. And that was a travesty. So lest it be forgotten again, I scribbled a few paragraphs on the back of that page, said, let's make a memorial. And that led to the evolution of what we see here. And I put this one up because Mavonia is in the middle. She was the heart and soul. She was a friend. You've heard 161 and counting are known to have been sent south. We're a nonprofit, a 501c3. If you give us $1, we get $1. It doesn't go off to anybody else. No taxes involved. The miserable people who orchestrated all of this, you've heard all about that. I won't go into that. Our aims are now to illustrate the humanity of the people who were shipped away. We need to know that. We want to raise awareness of the role that we played in the slave trade. You may not realize it, but the New York City Police Department was originally created to capture escaped slaves. That was its reason for existing in the beginning. And so the New York City, New Jersey metropolitan area was a center of the slave trade. And the financing of the slave trade came from New York and New Jersey. So, as a testament to their resilience, we're going to create a living memorial, not just stone, not just bricks and mortar. So here you see an illustration of the kinds of gardening that had to have been done in the day. It has the features of the garden that we've mentioned and of stone, because we need to have something onto which to inscribe the names, the dates, and the other information. The site is in front of this building. It's a very nice site. There's a plaque mounted there to indicate that that is the future home. This is an impressive picture. You've seen it before. These are astonishing faces. I've seen faces like that in refugees from the wars in Bosnia and Afghanistan. So the design elements includes, as we've described, I have a couple of illustrations here of similar memorials, not exactly the same as what we're doing. So here we get a fast few sites from other places. I'm sure Amber Betances is aware of all of these and will take advantage of some of the best features of their design. And finally, Brad, thanks. To our town councilman, chairman thereof, welcome and thanks. Without you, this would never have happened. And thank you for listening.
Thank you for that, Peter, and thank you all for listening to the important work being done. You know, it's really important to remember why we're doing this work, but on the other hand, as well, it's important to see the work being done as well. So thank you for sharing that. Next, we are going to welcome a talented poet. So if you remember, if any of you were at the last recitation, we had Leanne Stone, who is also known as Golden Sapphire, with us, and she provided a powerful, powerful poem, and she's here with us today to do the same.
Good afternoon, everyone. So it's in these moments that, as I was sitting and listening, it's in these moments when you know the divine thread that runs through all of us. When Tony called me and honored me with the opportunity to come before you again, she gave some ideas of what she wanted me, you know, how she wanted me to lean and everything. And so I said, okay. And I've been mulling over it for a while. And of course, as always, when it's a situation like this, it's very powerful. It comes together at the last minute, but it is together. So what I decided to do this time was I looked through the names, and any name that spoke to me, I highlighted. So there are 5 names, 5 individuals whose stories I'm going to tell based on what I heard in my spirit. The title of this poem is Stolen Possibilities, Forsaken Dreams. Joseph, 2 days old. Precious baby Joseph, only 2 days removed from the sanctuary of your mother's womb. This woman, giver of life, is your sun, your moon, and your lifeline. Baby Joseph, you suckle at your mother's breast and know only peace because she shields you from the slave master's whip and chain. Baby boy Joseph, I wonder who you could have been in a world without the sin of slavery. Doctor, general, soldier, cook. Stolen possibilities, forsaken dreams. Diana, 7 months, precious baby girl, becoming more aware of the world around you. You are cooing, reaching so hard for words. Ba, 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 da, da, da. And of course, me being partial to ma, ma, ma. Such sweet sounds, gestures, and babbling in contrast to the crack of the whip and the wailing of broken spirits. You look in your mother's and father's eyes, and you see home. When mama leaves, you cry without ceasing until you see her again. Sweet baby girl, who could you have been without the stain of slavery? Inventor, nurse, accountant, farmer. Stolen possibilities, forsaken dreams. Hercules, 2 years old, beautiful brown boy, exploring the world all around you. No, 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 you say no to show your growing independence and sense of autonomy. You grow strong and fierce in spite of the state-sanctioned oppression you were born into. You are the embodiment of raw, untapped potential. Who could you have been if allowed to achieve such dreams? Scientist, author, educator, engineer, stolen possibilities, forsaken dreams. Jeanette, age 12, sweet, powerful young lady, standing at the precipice of young womanhood. Though the changes in your body may confuse you, your mind is on fire with fresh ideas, new passions, and dreams so vast they overflow like cascading waterfalls. You hear no, always no, but your heart says yes. Who could you have been if allowed to achieve such dreams? Architect, president, senator, aviator, stolen possibilities, forsaken dreams. Jonas, age 16, free, free, free. He is free, strong, virile, young, Black man. On the verge of manhood. You were not born in chains, not drank from the well of the slave master's oppression. You are the physical representation of freedom, our great hope. But now, your freedom is stolen and your strength depleted in the name of white power, privilege, and pleasure. Who could you have been if allowed to achieve such dreams? Activist, agitator, regulator, emancipator, stolen possibilities, forsaken dreams. Joseph, Diana, Hercules, Jeanette, and Jonas. We honor the lives you lived and celebrate your spirits that live on. Though slavery stole the endless possibilities of your lives, the dreams of who you could have been live on in those who come after you. So from this day on, we shatter the shackles that steal our possibilities and force us to forsake our dreams. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was incredible. That was incredible. Can we give one more round of applause to Golden Sapphire, please? That was heavy. I could literally envision the people that she was talking about. I want to acknowledge the background drumming here that has been provided by Raz Ujima and his colleagues at the Black Circle Symphony. So can we give them a brief round of applause as well? We will now commence a very solemn portion of our program, the recitation of names and libation ceremony, led by Crystal, alongside other members of the Board of Trustees for the Lost Souls Memorial Project, Steve Allard, Elaine Risley, Eugene Armstead, and Carol Austin.
All right, so what will happen next is I will recite a poem. And when I say we remember them, I invite you to say Ashe. When I say the names, as I'm saying the names, the Board of Trustees will be pouring the water into the plant. Okay? And this is not my poem, FYI. I found it, again, I thought it was fitting. I thought it was fitting to the occasion. So I'm going to read it as, again, you'll see the names of the lost souls on the screen. We won't say all of the names, however, we will highlight some of the names, but we acknowledge and remember all of them. In the eternal embrace of ancestral wisdom, I stand at the intersection of time where the past converges with the present. Behind me, an unbroken chain of ancestral spirits, their collective strength flows through my veins. We remember them.
Simon.
Rachel.
Rachel. Rosanna. Harry. Peter.
Hagar. August. Mar.
Life's vibrant tapestry was woven by their hands, and now it courses through mine, a sacred inheritance. In their honor, I embarked on a journey of purpose, embracing the rich tapestry of existence. We remember them.
Margaret Copeland. Ashe. Hannah. Ashe. William. Ashe. Dorcas. Ashe. Jack. Ashe. Peter. Ashe.
With gratitude, I tread the path of my ancestors, guided by their wisdom, fueled by their resilience. Through every triumph and tribulation, their spirit soars beside me, empowering my spirit, illuminating my soul. I live this life with the unyielding passion, for it is not just my own, but a celebration of the countless lives that came before me. We remember them.
All of the unnamed. Peter Thompson. Eliza Tom. Fanny Thompson.
I live this life with I honor their legacy by embracing the present moment, cultivating love, compassion, and grace. In the depths of my being, I recognize their presence, whispering encouragement and strength. Their wisdom echoes through the corridors of time, reminding me that I am part of an eternal tapestry, a sacred connection to all that was, all that is, and all that will be. We remember them.
We remember them. Ashe. Walter Wilson. Ashe. Jane Wilson. Ashe. Hannah. Ashe.
In their light, I flourish as the vessel of their collective dreams, forging my own path and carrying their flame forward. With their spirits as my eternal companion, I walk this earthly journey, living every breath, every heartbeat in profound gratitude and reverence. For I am the living embodiment of their hopes, their struggles, their triumphs, and their love. And through my existence, I honor them, perpetuating their legacy and embracing the vastness of life's infinite possibilities. We remember them. Ashe. 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 Ashe.
All right, thank you all for joining us in the recitation of names and libation ceremony. Mr. Mayor, if you would like to say a few words now, that would be great.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming out here today. I know that you got a long history of how we got from our starting point to where we are today. And I do think that it teaches us a little bit about why history is so important to us. And the elimination and removal and covering up of people's history is deeply hurtful, is deeply painful, and it reminds us of everything that we do right here in East Brunswick. We could have just found out this little piece of history and buried it for 200 years, which had been up until that point, but that's not what we are in this town. We recognize that you learn from your history and that you use that in order to move forward and get to a better place. If you don't learn from your history, you are bound to repeat it. And so that's not the approach that we took in this township. We decided that we wanted to do something very meaningful with it. And instead of just putting a remembrance or a bunch of names in Veterans Park in the township, which is where we celebrate veterans who ceremoniously gave their lives to this country, that's not how any of the almost 200 people here passed away or moved on. They were very unceremoniously taken from us and removed from this community. So it was our intention to honor their legacy by putting them back in a place where we meet as a community, in a community arts center where we come together as a community and welcome them back. And in the process, you learn something about our history, and in doing so, you learn a little bit about us and how we do the things the right way, and you could always defend that. So as we move from this portion of the program over to the celebration of Juneteenth, which my council president and council vice president will be running today, I'd like you to keep in mind that you always have choices in life. And I hope that you look at us as having been someone who was handed something and made the right choice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for those powerful words. So we're going to transition outside for the rest of our program. This year, we are honored to partner with East Brunswick for this year's first Juneteenth ceremony. Please welcome East Brunswick Township Council President Kevin McAvoy and Council Vice President Dana Zimbicki, who will be providing us with some remarks. Give them a round of applause, please.
Thank you, Andrew. As we observe Juneteenth, we remind ourselves of the sacred proposition rooted in Scripture and enshrined in our Declaration of Independence, that we are all created equal in the image of God, and each of us deserves to be treated equally throughout our lives. That is the purpose of America, that every generation is charged to keep alive. While the opposition may seem fierce and the fire of conflict may be intense, the story of Juneteenth reveals that freedom, justice, and equality will always prevail.
While reflecting about Juneteenth, we were constantly being drawn to Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a vital in the history of civil rights here in our country, here in our town, as Juneteenth marks the day when slavery officially ended, which was a huge step towards freedom for Black Americans. Martin Luther King Jr. Day honors a key leader who fought for equal rights without using violence and pushed for laws that would protect all of those rights.
These days remind us not only of the progress made, but also that racism is still a problem that needs to be addressed. We are encouraged to think about the past, learn more, and keep working for change. It's important to remember why these days matter. They stand for the idea that everyone should be treated equally and with respect.
In conclusion, Juneteenth and Martin Luther King Jr. Day are seen as interwoven in our consciousness. They are important days that help us remember key events in the fight for equal rights for all races in the U.S. Each of these days gives us time to think about the progress made in civil rights and encourages us to keep learning, keep working to stop racial injustice. Celebrating these days is more than just remembering important people and events. It's a reminder that the fight for civil rights is still relevant today. And in closing, in the words of the grandmother of Juneteenth, Dr. Opal Lee, who, by the way, just spoke at Piscataway Library this past week, she said, "If people can be taught to hate, they can be taught to love. But we need to know you cannot erase history. So let's learn from it and be damn sure it doesn't happen again." In the words of Dr. Opal Lee.
Thank you so much, President McAvoy and Vice President Zimbicki. We will now hear a performance from the Black Circle Symphony.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Imagine if this was 1862 and we couldn't get together and have unified leader speak to us because the slave master would do some, you know what, to us. So, good afternoon, everyone. To my right is the founder of the Black Circle Symphony. When he was a 9-year-old young man here in the city, his name is Wakiba Julian. The seeds that was planted with the help of the NAACP, Mr. Bruce and Debbie Morgan, propelled this man to now be a world-renowned traveling musician. So once again, I really want to thank the NAACP for all the efforts that they gave me as a mentorship program here in the city of New Brunswick to help this man become a successful musician in our midst. To my left, Mr. Barry Rubin from East Brunswick. He was with us when Wakiba was 9 years old, so I really want him to take part in this ceremonial event here today, and we're going to share with you something from our Caribbean heritage. It's called Calypso, and I hope you like it.
Say
Say yeah, oh. Say yeah, oh. Juneteenth now, Juneteenth forever. Yeah, oh. Yeah, oh. Everybody, yeah, oh. My name is Rasujima, and this is a poem for you. Do not let anyone take your poem away. It is meant only and especially for you. Remember Bethune, Douglas, Evers King, Malcolm Garvey. Remember Haile Selassie. Remember Dr. Open Lee. We are all vaguely aware of the atrocities. The word has been passed down. Though hidden, the truth has survived. The truth has survived. I said, though hidden, the truth has survived. Remember to tell your children, do not plant seeds of hate, but be sure your kids understand each day in every way, and mostly, if you look closely, remember to take care, cause this your poem is for unity. This your poem is for strength. It is all the Rastaman have. It is all the dreadlocks give. I hope you like it. Be at peace. Juneteenth now, Juneteenth forever. Everybody say yeah! Oh. Yeah. We love you. We are the Black Circle Symphony, founded January of 2000 in the city of New Brunswick, New Jersey. Peace and love.
Thank you so much for that incredible performance. Please welcome, once again, Mayor of East Brunswick, Brad Cohen.
Thank you again. I won't take a lot of your time. I do thank each of you for coming out today. This is an important ceremony. This is actually the first time that we are recognizing Juneteenth here in the town, and we take this very, very seriously. I'm a real history buff, and just to prove how important history is to this town, the two speakers today, our president and vice president of the Township Council, are both history teachers. So I'm sure that comes as no surprise to you that we value and really put in its perspective our history and where we stand in time and what it means to make sure that we celebrate events that tell us not only about our past, but help us to make sure that we don't repeat those things in the future. So we also have here today, and I'd love to introduce to you our president of the East Brunswick Human Relations Council, because in order to represent a town as diverse as ours is, we will need to and continue trying to recognize that each ethnic group, each religious group, each person comes from a different background with a different set of history, a different set of events. But when you actually start to learn from one another, you realize that at the end of the day, there really isn't that much that makes us different. We have so much more in common than we have apart. So please, a round of applause for Aram Shakir, president of the East Brunswick Human Relations Council and the sponsor of today's Juneteenth program.
It's an honor to be here. You guys, Lost Souls, did an amazing job with the performances today. I'm so happy that you guys are all here. It's an honor to host this event in our beautiful town and give it away for the Lost Souls Project and our town.
Thank you so much for those kind words and for all your support that you provided to us to make today a great day. All right, now I'm going to call London Langford, who'll be reading the Juneteenth proclamation. Give her a round of applause.
General Order Number 3 states, the people of Texas are informed that, in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connections here, therefore, existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. The freemen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts and that they will not be supported in idleness either there or elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, London. That was great. Thank you so much. One more round of applause for London, please. All right, all right. So now we will gather for the raising of the Juneteenth flag. We have a few people who will be helping us with that. I want to acknowledge Chand Caldwell, husband of Mavonia Caldwell, who will be helping us. We also have youth rep. Thank you. Yeah, y'all can clap for that. We also have youth representatives from the East Brunswick Scouts, Youth Council, as well as youth representatives from Franklin Township. Give them a round of applause.
And just a little bit of history in regards to why we have Franklin here. It was Richard Bocce, who was the grandson of Benjamin Franklin, whom the town Franklin is named after, William Franklin, who actually brought awareness to the slave ring. So this is the reason why we wanted to have Franklin represented as part of the story, because without Richard Bocce, we wouldn't have this story.
Let's get a round of applause. The flag has been raised. So we have come to the conclusion of today's program. It's been an honor to be your host today. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to give another special thanks to the East Brunswick Human Relations Council and Department of Recreation, as well as Middlesex County for partnering with us to make today's event successful. And thank you to all of you who came to learn. You know, you came to learn about history. You came to be in community, and there's no greater power than community. I feel like, I feel as if when we come together, we can do so much. So thank you all so much for coming out. Please feel free, if you want to learn more about the Lost Souls, please visit us at lostsoulsmemorialnj.org. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Feel free to check us out if you're interested in learning more or becoming more involved with the organization. My name is Andrew Ankama Jr. Thank you so much for joining us today.